After studying this module, you shall be able to understand various types of sampling methods, learn about the differences between probability and non-probability sampling techniques, know how issues of sample representativeness and sample size are dealt during measurement process, learn about the screening of data before analysis, explain the nature and handling of missing data, learn about data management and preparation of data before analysis. Data collection is an integral part of measurement and test construction process. For measurement of any psychological construct, a set of items is prepared and data is collected from the sample drawn from the population. As generally is this case, a researcher is never in a position to collect the data from the entire population. Usually, a representative sample is drawn from the population and the conclusion drawn from the sample are generalized to the population. To avoid the systematic biases in data collection process, a researcher must ensure that the sample drawn from the population truly represents it in all regards. Thus, sampling and sample representativeness are necessary prerequisites for data collection in measurement process. This module heaves light upon various types of sampling methods used in social science research. Broadly categorized, sampling methods are of two types: probability sampling method, where each element of the population has an equal chance of getting selected in the sample, and non-probability sampling method, where each element has an unknown probability of getting sampled. Another essential question that comes in the way of statistical procedure or measurement development approach is sample size. One of the significant questions a researcher needs to answer during measurement process is how large a sample is needed. It is to be noted that the sampling methods deals with the issue of sample representativeness and determine how representative a sample is of the population it is supposed to represent. Sample size is a distinct concept and depends on alpha level, effect size and power of the test. This module details how an appropriate sample size can be determined using tables of significance, effect sizes and power of the test. Once the data have been collected, a researcher starts with the process of screening the data and managing it before the analysis can begin. Screening and data management are lengthy processes that require several days and prepare the data for statistical analysis. It takes note of several issues like missing data, univariate distribution of variables, multicollinearity, outliers, assumptions of homoscedasticity, homogeneity of variance, and many others. It is important for a researcher to properly screen the data by spending enough time and effort so that appropriate conclusions can be drawn and sound decisions can be made. A section of this module is devoted to screening of data and issues related to data management, sampling, probability and non-probability. As defined by Field in 2004, a sample is a smaller but hopefully representative collection of units from a population used to determine truths about the population. The process of selecting a number of respondents or participants from the population for which a researcher wishes to draw a conclusion is called sampling. Two general methods of sampling that are most commonly used in social science research are probability sampling and non-probability sampling. In probability sampling method, each element of the population has an equal chance of getting selected in the sample. For this, an entire list of all the elements of the population is formulated and a selection process is adopted in which selection of one element has no effect on the selection of other elements of the population. In this way, every member of the population has an opportunity of getting selected in the sample. The samples drawn from the probability sampling method are called representative samples, as they represent the characteristics of the population from which they are selected. Probability sampling method is preferred mode of sampling in social science research, as it reduces the chances of sampling error. In non-probability sampling method, elements of the population has an unknown chances of getting selected in the sample. Often, the entire list of the population for which a researcher wishes to draw some conclusion is not available. In such cases, non-probability sampling method is acquired, in which respondents or participants are selected on the basis of their availability to the data collector or as per the convenience of the researcher. However, as these samples do not truly represent the population, they are termed non-representative samples. It is to be noted that non-probability sampling method is less desirable in social science research, as sampling error cannot be estimated and the findings cannot be generalized to the population. Types of probability sampling. The three types of probability sampling methods are stratified random sampling, systematic random sampling, and cluster sampling. Stratified random sampling. In this method, the population is divided into various subpopulations or strata depending on the attributes of importance for the research, such as gender, age, socioeconomic status, geographic location, religion, etc. Random samples are then drawn from each subpopulation or stratum. Stratified random sampling requires a great deal of knowledge about population strata and involves less bias in the selection of sample. Stratified random sampling requires a great deal of knowledge about population strata and involves less bias in the selection of sample. Stratified random sampling is termed disproportionate if samples of equal sizes are taken across each stratum irrespective of their proportion in the population. However, if sample size from each stratum is taken as per their relative proportion in the population, then this is termed proportionate stratified random sampling. Systematic sampling. In this method of sampling, a complete list of population consisting of all the elements is prepared in a non-biased order. The first element of the population is selected from the list in a random fashion, and thereafter every 5th, 10th, 20th element is selected from the list and included in the sample. The key to systematic sampling is unbiased listing of elements of population and unbiased selection of sample, so that variation in the sample and population can be reduced to the minimum level. Cluster sampling, also termed as multi-stage sampling, occurs when clusters of random samples are drawn within other random samples. The researcher lists all the clusters in the population and selects the clusters that are of interest for his research. The elements selected from the first cluster are further subjected to random sampling technique, and the second cluster is selected from the first cluster. The process repeats till the researcher gets a sample of cluster of interest for the research. As the sampling is done in various stages, it is also termed as multi-stage sampling. The sampling technique is preferred for marketing research, and it is relatively inexpensive, fast and easy. Types of non-probability sampling. The commonly used non-probability sampling techniques are snowball sampling, convenience sampling, quota sampling, purposive sampling, and web-based sampling. Snowball sampling. This type of sampling method is used when the researcher is not aware of the elements of the population. In this, data collection starts by contacting people known to the researcher. The researcher asks the respondents to give contact information about the other potential respondents. These potential respondents are contacted and asked for more nominations. The process continues in the same way until the sufficient data is collected for the purpose of research. A chain of references is created to reach to the respondents who are otherwise difficult to sample. Convenience sampling. This is the method of non-probability sampling in which the researcher selects the respondents on the basis of his convenience and accessibility of the participants. The respondents that are easily available to the researcher are recruited as sample. Though a fast and a quick way of sampling, convenience sampling method is often criticized for biased sampling as the sample does not represent the population. However, this sampling method is used for initial stages of pilot testing where selection of respondents need not be necessarily on the basis of random sampling technique. Convenience sampling is also synonymously termed as accidental, fortuitous, and opportunity sampling method. Quota sampling. Quota sampling is a two-step non-probability stratified sampling. In the first step, the researcher identifies the stratum, quotas, categories, population elements, and their relative proportions in the population. In the second stage, a judgmental sampling technique is followed and sample elements are chosen according to the convenience or judgment of the researcher. Though a non-probability sampling method, the advantage of quota sampling is that sample can be controlled for certain characteristics. Purposive or theoretical sampling. This sampling method is used for theory building or is often called grounded theory work. The researcher starts collecting data through qualitative data collection techniques of interview. The first respondent is selected by the researcher whom he thinks is the potential candidate for giving answers to his construct of research. After gathering information from the first respondents, the next probable list of questions for interview is formulated and the next candidate is selected who is considered the ideal candidate to answer the next set of questions. The process continues till the time researcher is able to generate a theory about the phenomenon of the construct of research. As the researcher interviews more and more people about the various aspects of the phenomenon, he gets familiar with the entire theoretical framework of the construct. The sampling stops when the data becomes saturated and no new information is obtained. Web-based sampling. The internet has become the new source of sampling for data collection. Sampling through World Wide Web is also a type of non-probability sampling in which researcher has no opportunity to select the sample that can be called as a representative of the population. Gosling et al. In 2004 have postulated 6 criticisms for web-based sampling method. These are: samples drawn from internet are not socio-demographically distinct. People who participate in internet studies are generally maladjusted, socially isolated and depressed. Internet data do not generalize across presentation formats. Internet participants are unmotivated. Internet data are compromised by anonymity of participants, and internet-based findings differ from those obtained with other methods. Non-probability sampling methods can give an understanding about the relationships that may exist between the variables. However, their major drawback is that the findings generated from these sampling methods cannot be surely generalized to the population. Sample sizes. Since researcher has a freedom to choose sample size during measurement process, they are greatly concerned with the requirement for sample size to increase the accuracy of their findings. The required size of the sample for a given measurement depends on 3 statistical techniques: alpha level, effect size, and power level. Alpha level of significance. The probability of committing a type 1 error, that is, error of rejecting a true null hypothesis, is termed as alpha level of significance. It reports that difference found between the groups in a sample would happen by chance alone x number of times out of 100. Usually, x equals to 1 or 5, which means that the difference in percentages found in the sample would have to be large enough to only occur by chance 1 out of 100 times, where alpha level is 0.01, or 5 out of 100 times, alpha equal to 0.05. Although the level of significance should be decided upon before any data are collected, many researchers fail to report the alpha level of significance and instead report only the p-values, the probability level of the sample outcome, if null hypothesis is true. Suppose a p-value for a particular statistical test is equal to 0.06, then this means that results from the particular sample would occur by chance alone 3 times out of 100. If the p-value equals to 0.50, then this can be interpreted that the results from the particular sample would occur by chance alone 50 times out of 100. Similarly, a p-value of 0.007 means that the results from the particular sample would occur by chance alone 7 times out of 1000. In psychological sciences, research workers generally make a decision and evaluate the outcome of the test according to 0.05 and 0.01 level of significance. The alpha level of significance is needed to determine the sample size. As a general rule, it is said that larger the size of sample, the easier it is for results to reach significance. Effect size. The effect size is the degree to which a phenomenon is present in the population or the degree to which null hypothesis is false. According to Cohen in 1988, the effect sizes may be categorized into small, medium and large sizes. The statistical values for each category of effect sizes differ for the type of test used in the measurement process. A smaller value of effect size with small sample size makes a test underpowered. Thus, medium to large effect sizes are generally preferred to identify the effect under investigation. The following table gives some effect size conventions for different test types by Cohen. Power level. The statistical power of a test is the probability of rejecting the null hypothesis or the likelihood of avoiding the type 2 error. A high degree of power is desirable for hypothesis testing. Conventionally, a level of 0.80 is considered ideal for statistical power. Sometimes as high as 0.99 values are also desirable. Sample size calculations using power level is done using tables provided in Cohen. The table shows a power table of the n size needed in a correlational analysis. Suppose for a correlational analysis, the alpha level of significance is set at a level of 0.05. The expected effect size is medium, that is 0.30. The desired power is 0.80. Considering the numbers, sample size can be estimated using the table. The table shows that a sample size of 85 is required to be likely to detect a medium effect of 0.30 and power level of 0.80. Thus, sample size, level of significance, effect size and power level are intertwined constructs. In general, increasing the size of sample reduces both type 1 and type 2 error and increases the precision of the measurement. Screening of data and data management. The step of data collection is followed by data analysis. Before beginning to analyze the data, it is essential to screen the data and ideal with issues of missing data, outliers, skewness, homogeneity of variance, etc. If the analyses are performed without screening of data and dealing with these issues, it may lead to inappropriate conclusions and waste of time. Thus, screening and data management steps need to be followed before beginning the step of statistical analysis. The following subsection deals with various issues that need to be taken care of while preparing the data for analysis. Missing data. It is not unusual to encounter with the problem of missing data in social science research. The data collector often finds incomplete data for some variables or for some cases while looking at the data Excel sheets. Broadly categorized, incomplete data is of three types: undercoverage, non-responses, and item non-responses. Undercoverage missing data results when the researcher is not able to scrutinize the appropriate sampling frame required for the purpose of the study. The potential respondents were excluded from the sampling frame when they should not have been. It is important for data collector to specify the precise sampling frame for the purpose of the research and be inclusive so that issue of undercoverage can be remedied. Non-responses. Non-response missing data refers to the case when the respondents have not provided the desired information or have given the information that is not usable. This may happen because of many factors. First, the respondent may not have understood the language or the meaning of the questions. He or she may have given fake or incorrect responses or may not have responded at all. Item non-responses. When the respondents do not respond to few items of the test, it is called item non-responses. Item non-response is a serious and frequently encountered problem in screening of the data. The pattern of missing data is checked before the analysis process begins. Statistically, 5% missing data points that are scattered randomly throughout the data set is considered a safe limit to carry out the analysis without any treatment to missing values. However, percentage greater than 5% is an indication of dealing it with various recommendations listed below. Handling missing data. The following are the suggestions widely accepted among social scientists to remedying the issues related to missing data points. The issue of non-responses can be handled by making the questionnaire and surveys short and effortless. To encourage participation of the respondents, it is advisable to provide them incentives for involvement in the research. They should also be ensured of privacy and protection during research process. The codes for missing and non-response data set should be entered in the database. The issue of undercoverage can be successfully dealt with identifying sampling frame and doing oversampling in the initial stages. When a variable in the data set has more than 5% of the missing values, a separate column labeled as missing variable A is added to the data sheet. Numeric coding of 1 is given to the missing values and 2 for the non-missing values. The t-test is carried out to know the significant statistical difference that may exist between missing and non-missing cases. In case of difference, it is recommended to delete the entire variable from the data set or carry out the analysis of the two separately. Another method recommended for missing data is the replacement of missing values with estimates. One of the commonest methods used for replacement is mean substitution. The mean value for all other responses on a particular variable is substituted for missing data point. In case of multi-item measures, the missing data for a particular item can be estimated and substituted by taking the mean of responses given by the respondent on all the other items. Many researchers have also recommended to run the statistical analysis of the data set with and without missing data and or with and without estimated values. Comparison of the findings gives an indication the impact missing data have on the results of the analysis. Coding of the variables. Before beginning analysis of the data, it is important that a researcher must provide numeric codes to the variables and enter them in the data set. All the subcategories of socio-demographic attributes like male is equal to 1 and female is equal to 2 also need to be coded and entered in the data sheets. The outputs of analysis must be saved and kept in proper folders and files with relevant labels attached to them. These steps help to reanalyze the data at some later stages of the research to corroborate the findings of the study. Ethical codes of research make it mandatory for all researchers to preserve the entire raw data and analysis report outputs in electronic copies for 5 years. Descriptive statistics. It is essential to start analyzing the data with descriptive indices. Before using proper statistical tools to infer the findings, the maximum value, the minimum value, the mean, the skewness and kurtosis must be checked. This ensures univariate distribution of the variables. Some analyses also require that the assumptions of homogeneity of variance covariance, and homoscedasticity must be met. Such check measures also need to be applied in the initial stages before the proper step of data analysis begins. Scatter plots. In case the aim of the research is to determine the linear correlation among the variables under study, it is recommended to first draw and examine scatter plots. The plots ensure the linearity of the relationships between the variables, which otherwise may show a curvilinear or a U-shaped relationship. Thus, initial stage of scatter plot building is advisable before actually computing correlation coefficient. Multicollinearity. Variables are said to be multicollinear if they exhibit a high degree of correlation among themselves, 0.90 or above. In case a high degree of multicollinearity is found between the two variables under study, it is advisable to use one or the other, but not both in any analysis. Linear dependency of the data. If a single composite score has been computed by summing or averaging the subscale scores, then both composite score and subscale scores should not be used for analysis. This result is the linear dependency of the data, as composite score is completely dependent on the subscale scores. Reverse coded items. It is important to reverse the scores on reverse coded items of a test before beginning the analysis. Dichotomous variables. Dichotomous variables should be roughly equal in proportions in the data set. The lack of skewness in the data helps in detecting the significant relationship between the two categories of a dichotomous variable. Outliers. Unusually high and low scores in the data set are called outliers. A researcher has to be careful in dealing with outliers within the data set. The first step is to ensure that the data has been correctly entered in the data sheet. For this, original data sheets need to be re-examined to check for the values of outliers. Many a times, respondents do not understand the language or meaning of a particular item and answer it without giving a considerable thought or attention. This generally can be easily detected seeing the responses given by him all the other items. If this stands the case, it is reasonable to delete the value of outlier and substitute it by estimating mean value. Regardless, outliers within the data have to be examined and some decisions need to be taken in terms of including or excluding them in the analysis. Grouped data. Consider an example of a variable where data are grouped job satisfaction of managers in government sector and private sector. A set of data would be there for managers in government sector and managers in private sector. To calculate the overall job satisfaction of managers across both the sectors, collapsing of data is required. To do so, it is essential to ensure that the means and standard deviation of the groups are not significantly different. Collapsing the group data across some demographic variables requires screening of the data, and it is only after certain statistical assumptions are met the researcher can group the data under one heading and go for analysis. It is also essential to ensure that the relationships of group data with other variables are also comparable. For example, if for one group of data set the correlation with other variable is positive and significant, and for another group of data set the correlation with the variable is negative and significant, collapsing the two will yield a non-significant correlation. Collapsing the data points for analysis in such a case is not appropriate. Summary. Data collection is an integral part of measurement and the test construction process. To avoid the systematic biases in data collection process, a researcher must ensure that the sample drawn from the population truly represents it in all regards. Thus, sampling and sample representatives are necessary prerequisites for data collection in measurement process. Broadly categorized sampling methods are of two types. Probability sampling method, where each element of the population has an equal chance of getting selected in the sample, and non-probability sampling method, where each element has an unknown probability of getting sampled. The three types of probability sampling methods are stratified random sampling, systematic random sampling, and cluster sampling. The commonly used non-probability sampling techniques are snowball sampling, convenience sampling, quota sampling, purposive sampling, and web-based sampling. Another essential question that comes in the way of statistical procedure or measurement development approach is sample size. Sample size is a distinct concept and depends on alpha level, effect size, and power of the test. Once the data have been collected, a researcher starts with the process of screening the data and managing it before the analysis can begin. Screening and data management are lengthy processes that require several days and prepare the data for statistical analysis. Before beginning to analyze the data, it is essential to screen the data and deal with issues of missing data, outliers, skewness, homogeneity of variance, linear dependency of data, dichotomous variables, group data, etc.